Well, Asa Hutchinson, who claims to be a Republican, is the governor of Arkansas, decided it would be a good idea to go on the Tucker Carlson show last night and explain why he vetoed a bill, bill that would have basically prevented the chemical castration of children. Like, Dan, did you say that right? Well, here's the Daily Mail. Longest headlines ever, right? Keep running joke. Daily Mail, the headline. You don't have to read the story. The whole story is in the headline. Daily Mail, this will be in my newsletter today if you want to read it, bongino.com/newsletter. Kids can't drink beer, but they can be chemically castrated? Tucker Carlson rips into Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson for vetoing a bill to ban hormone treatments for transgender children. Megan Sheets, dailymail.com. So here's how it went down last night, where alleged Republican governor of Arkansas, Asa Hutchinson, went on the Tucker show to explain why he doesn't, why he thinks the chemical castration of children is a good idea. I don't know. I can't figure that out. You're an adult. You do you. Okay? I am a libertarian in that respect. You do you. The things and the reasons we don't allow, even as limited government conservatives, we don't allow children to do some things we allow adults to do is because they're children. They haven't yet developed a lot of the critical thinking skills to make responsible decisions. Even the most ardent, I believe, of libertarians would agree with. We don't allow children to drive cars. Why? Why don't we do that? I'm a libertarian. I'm not making fun of libertarians. I'm just saying this is what the fake libertarians and fake conservatives like Asa Hutchinson says. I'm a limited government guy. Well, should kids drive cars? That could be dangerous. Well, why is it dangerous? Because kids don't have the judgment, the skills, or the physical abilities to drive a car. That could hurt someone. So here's how it went down last night. Here's the opening clip, Tucker Carlson versus Asa Hutchinson. Tucker setting up the problem first. Check out clip one.
Well, the legislature in Arkansas recently passed a bill that would ban doctors from prescribing so-called puberty blockers, heavy-duty hormones, to children who believe they're transgender. The law also bans surgeons from physical castration of children. But the governor of Arkansas, Asa Hutchinson, vetoed that bill on Monday. Legislatures in Arkansas just voted to override that veto, which brings us to where we are right now.
Sure does. Now, his veto was overridden, but it makes you wonder why a governor claiming to be a Republican in a relatively conservative state would veto a bill that would impose upon children or allow the decision to be made to permanently alter the lives of children before they've been through their formative years and can think critically like adults would. Why would a Republican governor veto that? Was there some corporate pressure? Are you just a sellout? Did you want to gain the loyalty and love of the fawning editorialists in the op-ed section of the Washington Post and the New York Times? Why did you genuflect and kiss the collective arse of the left in a red state and veto this bill? What was the explanation? Well, let's hear it from Asa himself. Asa Hutchinson, who unbelievably invokes Ronald Reagan in this. I don't remember where Ronald Reagan supported the chemical castration of children at an early age. I don't recall that. Anyone else recall that one on the show? Anyone? I hear silence on that. Here's Asa Hutchinson's response when Tucker asks him, hey, why did you veto this bill? Seems kind of strange. Check this out.
This, again, is the first law in the nation that invokes the state between medical decisions, parents who consent to that, and the decision of the patient. And so this goes way too far. And in fact, it doesn't even have a grandfather clause that those young people that are under hormonal treatments,
if I could just correct you for a second. Well, this is chemical castration, of course. If you stop puberty and suppress the sex hormones, you're chemically castrating someone. So our description was correct. But let me just ask you, I mean, there are all kinds of, we're talking about minors, children here, and there are all kinds of things in Arkansas kids in every state are not allowed to do. Get married, drink a beer, get a tattoo. Why do you think it's important for conservatives to make certain that children can block their puberty, be chemically castrated? Why is that a conservative value, if you would tell us?
Well, first of all, you have parents involved in very difficult decisions. You have physicians that are involved in these decisions. And I go back to William Buckley. I go back to Ronald Reagan, the principles of our party, which believes in a limited role of government. Are we as a party abandoning a limited role of government?
Again, I don't know Asa Hutchinson. I've never met him. It's not personal. I don't intend it to be. And I can't stand Republican on Republican unnecessary fights, but this is a necessary fight. There's a lot of feedback on the Kristi Noem thing. I gave her the chance to defend herself. I'll extend the same invite to Asa Hutchinson's team if they'd like to come on in a respectful back and forth. I'm happy to do it. But invoking Ronald Reagan and limited government in this is one of the most absurd defenses of a veto of a bill which will alter a child's body for the rest of their lives, despite a widely acknowledged fact that children are not yet done with their formative mental or physical years. And invoking Ronald Reagan to defend that veto is one of the most insane things I have ever heard in my life. We support limited government, not zero government. I am not an anarchist. I'm not. You may be. Again, you do you. That's fine. Everybody with all kinds of views, you're welcome on my show. Communists, anarchists, liberals, conservatives, you want to listen? Listen away. I am not an anarchist. I believe the role of government is defined explicitly in our Constitution. It should be limited, but clearly we should have some role in defending the big R God-given rights of those who can't defend themselves, and children, again, in their formative years, not fully developed either psychologically or physically, should not be making decisions or have adults make decisions for them that will transform them for the rest of their lives. Is this hard to figure out? This isn't one of those, and I know the left, oh my gosh, you're a phobic, phobophobia. I don't care. That stuff is just garbage, distractionary nonsense. You're an adult. You do you. You are uncomfortable with you feel like how you were born. You're free to make adult decisions. We're not talking about adults here. We're talking about children, kids. And an allegedly Republican governor doing a series, again, and we're seeing this more often than not now, of non-Republican-y type things. Here's another one. Tucker Carlson, right before this segment here, asks Governor Hutchinson, hey, have you reviewed any studies on this? Because this seems kind of important. Is there any evidence that this hormonal treatment, which will alter kids' bodies forever during puberty or pre-puberty, do you have any medical research whatsoever backing up that this actually has some kind of productive effect on the development of these children? An important question, you would think. Check out the response.
Well, I actually reviewed some of that study. I reviewed the high court decision there, and I think they are different than what you're talking about here. Sure, there's a lot of unknowns here. I studied this bill in contrast to what you just said. I spent a lot of time reviewing cases, meeting with people, listening to the experts, as well as to faith leaders as well. And I'm a person of faith, but at the same time, I'm a person of limited role of government. I sign pro-life bills. I sign many bills that would be looked at as very conservative, but this is one that crosses the line. There's no need for it.
Hold on. And, I'm sorry, but hold on. You say there's no need for it, but you've said that you've seen research that shows the mental health of children who receive puberty-blocking drugs improves. What is that research exactly?
Well, the research that I've seen shows that these troubled youth, these ones that have gender dysphoria, that they also have depression. They have suicidal tendencies. It's a higher suicide rate than others. And they go to their parents. The parents go to doctors, and they try to deal with this very difficult issue. I don't think we should deny them health care.
Hold on. I'm sorry. You're the governor. You just vetoed this bill. You said you're familiar with the studies. No one disputes that children who are asking for puberty-blocking drugs or been recommended to their parents or doctors may be depressed. That seems very likely. I think the studies show it. Cite one specific study that shows puberty-blocking drugs improves the condition. Does it make children less depressed? Does it make them less likely to harm themselves, to commit suicide? Just name one study that shows that, please.
Of course he doesn't. He goes on to cite the AMA, but doesn't cite any kind of a study. And it's weird because when Tucker asks him about the studies in the beginning, he says, quote, there's a lot of uncertainty, and then goes on to cite studies that these children who were involved in this particular procedure have all types of psychological comorbidities, depression, heightened rates of suicide, which is not a comorbidity, it's an act. So I don't understand. What are you saying? You don't have any actual data. You just said there's a lot of uncertainty. So if there's a lot of uncertainty, I'm going to guess as a limited government guy that we inject the government to protect the rights of these kids until they're adults and can make adult decisions like free, liberty-loving adults. And if after they're adults, through their formative years, they can figure out on their own that they want to, they whatever they want to do, they want to take hormones, let them do it. But maybe if there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding kids, maybe we should take a step back and prevent people from permanently altering these children's lives in the future via hormonal manipulations in their formative years. What's strange about that, ask? Why are you so eager to allow medical professionals and others to intervene in the developmental years of children, despite the fact that Asa Hutchinson himself acknowledges, well, there's a lot of uncertainty. Yeah, I wouldn't want to screw that one up. Maybe if there's uncertainty, we should all take a step back. You think? In my humble opinion, and I think in Tucker's too, here's the real reason Asa Hutchinson, the governor of Arkansas, may have been influenced to veto this bill to permanently alter the lives of children through hormonal manipulations in their formative years. Tucker asks a critical question here. There have been some corporate leaders. Oh, we'll get into corporations in a minute. Corporations, America, freedom, all that other stuff. Yeah, they're not the same. We used to associate corporations with capitalism, economic freedom. Now, corporations are all in on the new America, and it's not an America you're going to like. Tucker asks him this question here. Check this one out.
This field barely existed 10 years ago. Cases of gender dysphoria, so-called, have increased by thousands of percent in the last decade. So actually, we can't know the answers to these questions. The research that we have suggests the opposite of what you're claiming. You clearly aren't familiar with the research. And so my question is, have you spoken to any of the biggest employers, the big companies in Arkansas about this? Have you taken any calls from Tyson's, from Dillard, from Walmart? Has anyone from those companies called you about this bill?
No, but Tucker, you're saying, first of all,
you haven't spoken
no
to
studies,
one
and then you cite a
corporate
study.
Interest. No. There is not a single study that I'm aware of that shows an improvement in the mental health of children who take puberty blockers, who are chemically castrated. And you couldn't cite one. You're not familiar with the research. You were told by doctors that it's a good idea, and you went with it. But I just want to clarify very quickly. Have you, and I just want to be clear on this, have you spoken to any corporate interest in the state of Arkansas about this bill?
Tucker, I answered that. I answered that question, and I said, no, I have not.
No,
you have another question.
Okay. I'm skeptical because
Tucker?
we've certainly seen across the, let me just say, Governor, with respect, I'm skeptical.
Well, you can color me skeptical too on that one. Not calling the man a liar because I don't do that without evidence, but let's just say I'm skeptical. Very skeptical. I remember A Few Good Men, I object. No, I strenuously object. I'm strenuously skeptical. He hasn't spoken to any corporate interest, so he just decided on his own to veto a bill as a Republican that would do Republican things like protect the liberty of children to live and grow while their formative years are happening and then make decisions as adults. Kind of weird, no? Folks, listen, I don't like talking a lot about my prior line of work because I think it's, hey, look at me. I used to be a Secret Service guy. That gets annoying, and I totally get that. But I think it's important here because it defines where we are as a Republican movement right now. cutesy time is over. Cutesy time when things are going well and we accept the rhinos once in a while because, they're with us most of the time. And then we'd have to go out and primary them. And, primaries cost money and we'd have to knock on doors and stuff. Yeah, that's all over that time. Cutesy time is over.
All right.
When I bring up my prior line of work, because I was telling Guy this morning, it reminds me when I left the Secret Service Training Division, I was an instructor in the academy teaching the new students, and I went to the president's detail. There's a culture shock because in training, you wait for a new class to come in. It's a relatively laid back atmosphere. You teach a class, you teach another class, you go sit at the desk, put together some new training materials. It's not a particularly strenuous day, weekends off. And then you go to the president's detail and it is game on. There are no weekends off. You're working midnights, you're working days. And if you screw up one little bit, people could literally die and it could change the entire world. That's not a joke. It's not a movie. It's not Mission Impossible 72. That's the real world. You go out there on the Presidential Protection Division and screw up an airport site advance and the president gets whacked, you just changed the entire world because you're a moron and you didn't want to do your job. The culture is night and day. We're at that culture point now. We've gone from training years and years of accepting weak Republicans at the local, federal, and state level. It's okay. Things are going well. It's not too bad. We're still a great country, prosperous. We are. Then Trump came in like a hand grenade and blew up the whole system. We're done with that now. Now, if you're going to be elected as a Republican, you are going to do Republican-y things. And if you don't, thanks to people like Tucker, who, again, I don't agree with on everything. We don't share every single idea together, and I'm not putting Tucker on a pedestal either. But good for him for calling Republican lawmakers on and calling them on the carpet and saying, shocker, we're expecting you to do Republican-y things. We had a mission in the Secret Service, a mission, and it was all that mattered. It was everything that mattered in the Presidential Protection Division. Nobody cared about your race, your skin color, where you were born, if you were gay or straight or transgender or what. Nobody cared. There was one mission. And if you didn't like that mission, then go the hell home. And I'll never forget the first time I was over in a foreign country. I'm not going to say where, but I was the lead advance and everything was on me. And it was a dangerous place, believe me. And I was there for 3 weeks. And we caught a couple guys who were friends of mine, who I respected. But they were down at one of the pools and maybe had a drink or two, broke a bottle. It just looked bad. I'll never forget, I had to bring him in a hotel room and said, you guys got to go home. And you know what? It sucked. It was really hard because I liked these guys. They were good guys. They screwed up. They made a mistake. Weren't drinking during work or anything. It was after hours, but they screwed up. They made us look bad. We're over there to do a mission. We're not there at party time. And I said, no, you have to go home. And the flight home was probably about 20 hours combined, 3 separate flights. It wasn't an easy flight home. And we had to fly in someone else, so another 20 hours back. And it was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. Because I had to look them in the eye, and he's a friend. They looked at me almost confused, like, I can't believe you're doing this. And I had to look him in the eye and say, I can't believe I'm doing it either. But the mission matters. This isn't cutesy time. People die if we screw up. Well, the country's going to die if we screw up any further. I'm very sorry, but it's time to stop putting these people on a pedestal and genuflecting before them. If we are going to elect you and give you power as Republicans in red states, no less, then you damn well better do Republican things because cutesy time is over. Or else you're coming in the hotel room with us. We're going to sit you down and send you home too.